Hello everyone and welcome back to the Brightworks and another match of Beyond All Reason, where today, which is the name of this game by the way, I wanted to point out, I keep seeing these comments asking what the name of the game is. It's called Beyond All Reason. Maybe you're new around here, and if that's the case, welcome. Where today I've got a match that was played actually a little bit of a while ago. It was a replay that was submitted over on my Discord channel, which is always linked down below in the description section. It was submitted before I went on a little bit of a vacation, so this may seem normal to you, but it's actually the first cast that I've done in about a week or so. So I'm actually getting back into the seat here, and I was pretty excited when this one came across my dashboard. So without further ado, our Blue Cortex leader of the Grump clan. It's going to be none other than Atian. Clocking in at 21 open skill, and actually a relatively low open skill game, which is kind of weird, right? Like, these are all clans, or both of these teams are going to be clans today, going up against each other. I've been informed that all of them were in a group, a voice chat as well at the same time. So all of them are working together, right? But it's low OS, so it should be interesting to see. And of course, we are playing today on everybody's favorite map. If you couldn't already tell from the mini-map up in the left-hand corner, it's going to be Supreme Christmas. Now, Atian here is going to be the blue leader spawning in the air position here on Supreme Christmas, and I can't help but wonder what kind of strategies we're going to see from these teams, since they're going to be, well, just a little bit more coordinated, I would have to assume. Spawning on the other side, spawning as the Cortex Commander, spawning here in red, and going for a Hovercraft platform with an interesting sort of a build. It's going to be none other than Prime, clocking in at 23 open skill, and hailing from Canada, the Canadian leader of the U.S. Armed Forces, it's going to be none other than Prime, who apparently is going to be playing with a couple of those Cortex Hovercraft. Okay, well, this is interesting, see, because these Cortex Hovercraft are actually really powerful, especially the Halberd is super, super good. Some people have compared it to a T1 Sumo, and I think that's definitely fair. It's very, very powerful and very comparable as far as durability and speed and damage, all that sort of stuff goes. It is just a bit expensive, at least relative to a T1 economy. It means that you have to be very, very cautious with them. You have to make sure you get their value out with them. Otherwise, it's very easy to have them D-gun down on the front lines, and you can find yourself in a really bad slump. All right, nice win right here in the midsection, though, as we transition into the early game. It's going to be Bard up as well as Aggressa, who managed to eat up the majority of the rocks right here in the midsection. Decent trades right now from the Seafoam Green Commander Aggressa, as they managed to keep most of these grunts fighting an even fight here and blasting away at a bunch of the forces from the red Everdust and RJ Monty 4. Now, Mesas are rolling in, and those Plasma Bots are going to start firing away here. They're pretty bad, actually. Mesas tend to be one of those units that, well, a little bit of a non-micro right there from the Seafoam Green Commander. Mesas are one of those units that just, I feel like they never really get as much value as people expect them to. They're not really comparable to Thugs. Thugs are so much better for so much less, I believe. 130 versus, I believe it's 140 for a Thug, but you get a significantly better bot out of it. Yeah, 140 for 1100 HP versus, let's see here. For a Mace, it's going to be 130 for 1000 HP. So you get an extra 100 HP. But the damage is slightly better as well. Yeah, I don't know. It's one of those weird things where they look really even on paper, but just the ways that they interact with the earlier units, the Thug definitely outshines the Mace in basically every aspect. Either way, though, all of those units did go down, and eventually it will be the Maces that are left standing, and I suppose that's what you get when you pay for those slightly more expensive but slightly tankier units. They're the bulkier ones, and they're the ones that are left standing, and now it means that RJ Monty 4 is going to start eating up a whole bunch of the units over, or a whole bunch of the resurrection over here. Little scout plane coming across right now does determine, sorry, I was laughing at the chat, guys, I can't swim. Laughing at the fact that, yeah, this scout plane now discovers that there are suddenly hovercraft over here. Definitely interesting, right? The Purple Commander was expecting to play a full-blown naval battle, but instead is going to be settling in for kind of a weird asymmetric battle going on here between Hovercraft and naval units. And obviously, maybe not obviously, Hovercraft are significantly worse than the naval units, but also, well, you pay about the same price, actually. So 420 metal for a Riptide versus, for instance, the Cayman is 300 metal, so about 70-ish%, 75-ish% of the cost of a frigate, but significantly worse, like 25% the effectiveness, if not, you know, relatively close to that. I'm throwing numbers out left, right, and center, which you're not really supposed to do when you're doing a recording or a video or whatever. That's like rule 1 of YouTube. I'm going to break the rules just like I always tend to do, especially on the live streams. Humble plug, Saturdays, typically 12 to 4, but if there's an event, usually we'll start even earlier than that, sometimes around 8 a.m. PDT. All that is PDT, by the way. But yeah, feel free to go tune into those. Humble little self-promotion right there. cast to my own YouTube channel where you're watching this live. It'll have a little live banner, and you're more than welcome to tune in. I also cast to my own Twitch, and of course, sometimes I do get the opportunity, and I'm so grateful for it, to cast to the actual main Beyond All Reason official Twitch channel, which is always super, super cool. Aggression on the front line right here. Yeah, Thug's going to be more than happy to blast that down. Thugs, like I said, they're just so good on the front lines. They kind of, I don't know why, they just don't compare. When I see Thugs on the front line, I'm like, man, that's a dangerous army. But if I saw this many maces, I'd be like, that's inconvenient. Inconvenient that I'm going to have to kill all that army in a minute, but, you know, at least I'll get to reclaim all that metal, and that'll be nice. Yeah, Thugs command a devastating presence on the front line, whereas maces really just don't instill fear the same way. Maybe it's the sort of round and just very comfortable-looking body of the mace that really means that it doesn't do as much damage. It's all about the psychosemantics, right? Anyway, Rocketeers pushing forward right here. The blue team in general doing a great job, actually, of pressuring this front line. We've got some beamer turrets up to try and negate any of those rocket bots. And surprisingly, no vehicle play here. We do have a couple of tanks up and running, but we need those Wolverines in play in order to shut down these static defenses, because as soon as they come up, there's not really anything you can do with bots. Bots are outranged by basically every single static defense of their tier, so the T1 LLT beats the pawns and the grunts, and then, of course, the medium turret, the beamers, and the twin guards outrange the Rocketeers, and the heavy turrets outrange, well, everything. And man, beamer turrets are good. There you go. You can see them cutting down these units. They're especially good single target damage as they blast down all of these units right here. Shaving off the HP bar of every single one of these units right here, with the green forces dancing in front as well. RJ Monty 4 is now out of firepower. Well, I'd be lying if I said this didn't look like a overwhelming advantage for the blue team. This is where the money's at, though. Rushed, cries out the purple player, screams the purple player. As suddenly all those attack hovercraft have gone right past us. I'm surprised we were unprepared for this, and the fact that we well saw all of this happening, right? That we had the scout plane, we scouted all of this. Rushed, maybe, maybe fair. Maybe fair. Anyways. I would have expected a better response right here from the blue team. I'm actually a little bit disappointed to see the blue team didn't have these shurikens in place, didn't have any kind of static defenses on the line over here. I actually assumed that all of this would be taken care of ages ago, but apparently not the case. And here we go, a very successful hovercraft raid right into the backline, all the way up to the tech player, actually, leaking well into the backline here. The blue team means suddenly the purple commander is pretty far out of production. A lot of metal extractors down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 metal extractors all down. Means that, for the time being, Zacraft, the purple commander here, is going to be quite low on resources. Needs to get those rebuilt ASAP. We also have a little bit of a battle going on over here. Kind of a random little battle going on. We also have the destroyers. Yeah, expensive, but not clearing out these metal extractors. Come on, man. Expecting a little more of this out of a coordinated team like this. I guess coordination doesn't necessarily mean skill, right? You can be coordinated and still not be the #1 player. Sheldon firing out into the ocean here, trying to connect with any of these boats right now. Destroyers can reach this geothermal from the coast if they get right up on top of it. Not the case right here for the purple commander, though, who has not made that decision and instead is just going to park these boats over here to die. I'm appalled at the fact that these hovercraft did so much damage. Oh, okay, interesting. So the green commander is actually going to rebuild over here. Very cool. Yeah, I like that a lot, actually. Yeah, the green commander going to rebuild the base right here for the purple commander, while Zacraft gets into the water and starts to try and pump out some of these boats. I'm still wondering why we're producing boats. At this point, you go, the obvious answer here is you go into a little bit of build power like we've got going up here, and then you go into an amphibious lab and you build salamanders. It's such an effective raiding force, basically unstoppable on the front lines as long as it's still T1, and we are still on T1. We are 9 minutes into this game, and I'm just barely seeing T2 hitting the field here. Definitely a little bit slower on the draw as far as that T2 goes. There's a lot of reclaim available here as well. I think rather than going for the gauntlet here, I'd like to see a rush into T2, eating up all this metal, either turning it into units to decisively win this front line, or just going straight into T2. Lightning Turret doing a great job, though. Yeah, more of that. Lightning Turret's doing a phenomenal job here. Or turret, singular. Wow. Absolutely getting its money's worth. This Lightning Turret took down 5 or 6 of those units on the front line and scratched up all the rest of them, meaning the Rocketeers can finish the mission. And it means, of course, that the Green Commander is going to have tons and tons of metal available for the reclaim if I hit my metal button. There we go. 3.14159 thousand metal here for the Green Commander to eat up and enjoy. And the more of that goes into this gauntlet, the better off we're going to be in total here. This gauntlet, I mean, in a decent position, right? It does deny quite a lot of range. You can see it forces back over here, but it would be ideal if it was a couple steps forward to try and deny this 2.3 over there as well. But at the very least, all of the 4.3s are denied, so it does hamper the economy ever so slightly right now of the red team. And there it goes, firing off into the distance here. Going to poke down the radar jammer that was being set up right there by Monty 4. And hopefully we're going to target down that metal extractor. Mech should be the very first thing that you kill here. Obviously it's guarded by the beamer turret, so it's going to be a little bit harder to hit it. But as soon as that manages to kill the mechs, I would say it's managed to get as much value as it's really going to. Sheldon slowly making their way out to the front line, and obviously that's because of the fact that... how did these boats get so damaged up? Okay. Prime getting into the water here, very slowly getting into the water, but getting into the water nonetheless. And, okay. The purple commander getting their sea legs, maybe for the first time here. Lovely stuff with these resbots, though. I'm thrilled to see these resbots are continually eating from the front line. I'm expecting a T2 transition very, very shortly. We got the T2 mechs coming up in the back line as well. It's time to start putting down a bunch of those energy producers. Even advanced solar panels wouldn't be the end of the world. Anything to try and produce a whole bunch of energy, and try and go into some higher tier or higher level gameplay, higher tech level gameplay. Construction turret on the front line, very cool to see. Fiends now hitting the battlefield, and that's the turn of the battle. As soon as these Fiends come out, you're going to have to start worrying about a T2 battle rather than just T1 on T1. Whoa, Brown Commander goes down. Looks like the Gauntlet and the green units managed to get their value here. A lot of Rocketeers are available. Looks like the Resbots have gone down. Oh, no, they weren't. They were pulled back. Nice micro right here from Bard Up. I like it. The Gauntlet is a questionable decision, but you know what? It has been firing away at these T1 units for so long here. I'm hesitant to say that it's gotten its value. But the fact that these Resbots have also been covered by it and have been reclaiming thousands and thousands of metal, I would say these are definitely where the battle has been won right here for the Green Commander. Laboratory goes down right now for the Red Commander, pushed out of the Navy. I'm glad to see it. I was a little worried the Purple Commander was going to forfeit the naval advantage here. We do have build power repairing all these units right here. There we go. Yeah, we need to just siege all this. Concentrate fire. That mighty Hephaestus. Looking for whatever value it can find. Agitator on the coast. The area control plasma artillery, actually renamed from the coastal artillery, coastal plasma artillery. Going to, yeah, apparently be used once more for its old purpose of defending the coast here of the Yellow Commander. As more and more of those T2 units come out. Oh, nice swarm right here. Yeah, nicely done by the Green Commander. Realizes, hey, with the T1 down and with T2 reinforcements very slow on the draw, there is an open opportunity path. Oh, accidentally degunning down the T2 mechs. Might have been necessary, though. A necessary evil to detonate the mechs and kill the ticks here. That actually could have been a whole lot worse. I would say Everdust handled that well. I'm not going to say that that was maybe entirely intentional, but it ended up working out phenomenally. How much metal has the blue team pulled back into their resources? Their pockets have got to be overflowing at this point. Still surprised to see the lack of advanced solar panels. We've got a Cerberus cannon coming up over here. It's a rare thing to see, but sometimes those Cortex commanders do prefer to go for the Cerberus as opposed to the advanced geothermal, simply for the fact that it's, well, quite a bit less explosive. Pitbull is nice defense, but it does go down here. T2 is meant to tear down those static defenses, all but the Rattlesnakes and the Persecutor cannons. It means that suddenly this little ball of Sheldon is, ooh, in a load of trouble. Boom, goes the EMP bot. Nice connection right there from the spy bot. Manages to paralyze all this. Obviously, without units to follow this up, it just delays the inevitable. But we do have some Sheldon firing away from the distance, so at the very least, they're going to be able to do a little bit of work here. One of the Sheldon goes down, but more importantly, I think the radar jammer bot goes down here as well. All said and done, it's a band-aid on a growing, gaping wound. Pink Commander going to go ahead and step into T2. Not quite sure if the economy is there for it. At the very least, those T2 mexes are churning away. And we have about 2,000 or so metal in the bank, so this is not looking terrible. It's just a matter of time before... Oh, Aggressa, not paying attention. Just a matter of time before those T2 units overwhelm the T1 on the front. And at this point, I want to say the blue team is basically just feeding those T1 units. Aggressive with no micro on the commander. Does go up right next to the static defense as well. And with all these thugs rolling out, suddenly this is flipped on its head. Aggressive is now throwing away thousands of metal and T1 thugs to an army that's perfectly equipped to deal with them efficiently. Rocketeer is doing damage on the right-hand side. Lil Fat Raccoon, with maybe one of the best names ever. The Maroon Commander going to be going for some D-guns right here and trying to connect as many as possible. We do have a Tsar tank rolling out. Now, this Tsar is very late on the field as far as what we're used to for Tsar rushes, but it isn't like it can't find value still. Obviously, the T1 is in an immense amount of danger as soon as the Tsar hits the battlefield, but of course there's also the T2 to worry about. And the T2 suffer just as well from that heavy cannon mounted on top of that Tsar. Every time that thing fires, it does a gigantic sum of damage. Every time it fires. All 3 times it fired. Oh, boy. Sometimes what you hope for, what you want to see, just isn't what happens. And that's an important part of Beyond All Reason. The Orange Navy looking fabulous here. And I think the Lavender Commander underestimating how much of an investment was actually being put into this here. We've got the T2 mexes up and running. We've got a decent amount of energy production with all these tidal generators, but that's really all there is. There wasn't like a crazy eco-scaling. We didn't go for T2 or anything. I think Naval here was just hoping that the Orange Commander would never get in the water and they could go ahead and go for whatever they wanted to, but not going to be the case, as now there's an easy 6,660 metal worth of orange boats floating towards the southern side of the map. Sheldon's still firing away here. Adjust our angle to get a beautiful cinematic view of those Sheldon firing away. Let me go into cinema cam. How about that? Pop-up flamethrower turrets doing a great job of slowing all this down, but obviously with those T2 siege bots, it's going to be pretty easy to blast all that apart. Two or three good spy bot connections, though, could be the difference in this battle right here between the yellow and the blue forces. We've already seen one spy bot come up from the yellow commander, so at the very least we know they're aware of that mechanic. I did have somebody on the last live stream comment that they they didn't know that spy bots could detonate it as an EMP bomb, which is pretty funny. It's good tech to know. Not readily obvious, I would say. Not one of those things that you immediately would assume when you see a spy bot, but that little blue circle around them is the range of their EMP. Spybot does go down, though, however, for the yellow commander means that option is no longer on the table. Another hovercraft up and running over here, a goon. A goon for a red gooner here. Agitator. Very agitating. Yeah, you know what? I was skeptical, but 3 kills, and those are Navy kills. Not bad. Advanced Geo is up and running here. Looks like we're switching to a Cerberus as well. I think it's a wise decision. Considering this sea lane has been lost, I would say that's probably a wise decision. And the Cerberus cannon is always great for defending this coast here as well. So that ends up working out quite nicely here for the yellow commander at the very least. Sharpshooter on the front, always dangerous as well. Of course, whenever that thing is firing away, it's doing a stupid amount of damage. You do have to be careful, though. You cannot lose these sharpshooters before they fire it a couple times. Otherwise, you're going to lose out on value, right? You can imagine this can one-shot a Sheldon, and that's 410 metal. So to get your value out of this thing, you need to kill at least 2 Sheldons. That's at least 2 shots, and that means you have to keep it safe at least for a little while here. All that said, a unit capable of one-shotting Sheldon is definitely a powerful one, and one that you need to keep in your arsenal. Rattlesnakes here, being leapfrogged forward. Repaired well enough that they're also going to stay up and standing. Hey, nicely done. Yeah, barred up, just going for the static defense crawl. Very cool to see. We've seen it before where you just go for 100 rattlesnakes and they all, you just build a line of rattlesnakes. And it's really annoying to push into because they can fire away at you from so far away. And I think it's exactly what we're seeing right here, is now the rattlesnakes are more than happy to fire away into the distance at some of these squishier units. The Tsar tank here, namely one of the targets, about 6% or so, no, 4% or so, per blast. Hard to tell, because there's an agitator and, or rather a gauntlet and a rattlesnake firing at the same time. All hands on deck should be firing at this Tsar right here. I'm not sure exactly what's going on. A little bit of targeting issues. Not the end of the world, but just a little bit of targeting issues. A couple of res bots to patch that back up, and we should be back in business here. But the Green Commander is stalling out for energy. Gonna be setting up some fusion reactors, which is cool to see. That fusion reactor scaling is one of those things that we've seen pretty commonly now. It's one of those little changes that happen in Beyond All Reason as a subtle thing. What the duck? The purple commander Hovercraft cries out as ducks have reswarmed the sea. Nicely done by the red commander. Sure, why not? Building a big economy safe up here on the high ground and going ahead and going into a whole bunch of those ducks. I believe handed over right here. Oh no, they were made by the Twitchers. Oh, I see. Yeah, nicely done. And there you go. I mean, the power of the duck is unbelievable. Absolutely the best submarine in the entire game. They're very, very annoying to deal with. They can be built in swarms quite effectively. They're very microable, extremely easy to micro. And they have pretty phenomenal range. All things considered, they're basically one of the best units, I would say, in the Cortex arsenal. Artillery. Yeah, you can see these Buccaneers even struggling with them. It takes quite a few depth charges in order to clear them away. This is almost a comparable situation to the way that medium tanks function in the early game, where there's just enough HP and just not really anything that does enough damage to them to shut them down before they get to your critical centers. Torpedo bombers trying their absolute very best here, but I think it's going to be the Buccaneers that come to the rescue more than anything else, trying to shut these guys down. What are these bombers doing? Oh, they're trying their very best. That's what they're doing. It's not much, but it is honest work. Yeah, here's the issue with the ducks, is as soon as they make landfall, they're also pretty dangerous. At the very least, most of them will be cleaned up before they manage to make it all the way to the space, but it's a harrowing proposition, the fact that these ducks were able, I mean, this is a very minimal army of ducks, was able to make it this far without really so much of an issue. Definitely a bad omen of things to come right here for the red team. We're getting into T2 Navy, which is actually surprising. I honestly think just producing more and more ducks is probably the right way to go here for the red commander. Overwhelming duck production and just use them to swarm across the purple facilities. I think it could work out quite nicely. The orange navy here, trying its very best. You know what? Shut down pretty nicely, actually. They managed to kill the laboratory, and that's definitely a pain, but that Cerberus cannon is putting in work, and with the Buccaneer, whatever T2 boats were out and running, that's a lot of available reclaim for the Lavender Commander. Hopefully we get a lab up and running as soon as possible to try and counteract the effects here. We need some build power, actually. Leapfrogging some build power over to the coast in order to assist that laboratory wouldn't be the worst idea. Torpedo bombers out and running for the Blue Commander as well. Looking quite nice. Tank Commander scribbling on the map here, circling where the Sheldon are going. Trying to allow that Cerberus to fire away, and my goodness, what value it's gotten so far. Beautiful connections from that Cerberus cannon. 15 kills and counting. 17, 22, 23 kills, 25, 20... Oh, 27? Oh, wow, it's within range of that Starlight, too. The Starlight needs to target that Cerberus. Yeah, okay, Starlight barely manages to kill the Cerberus. My goodness. That was a close call. If that Starlight wasn't able to kill that Cerberus, this would have been a really, really rough situation. Starlight almost blasting that down. Meanwhile, oh, Spybot gets killed at the very last second. Let's see if this thing will blast it to wreckage. Yep, there we go. Nicely done. Blast the Starlight to wreckage, which means, of course, that it's going to be unresurrectable. The Cerberus cannon needs to be completely rebuilt. I like that. Now we know. That's exactly where you need to put a Starlight in order for it to... Oh, nice piece. It's exactly where you need to put a Starlight in order for it to be able to kill a Cerberus from this range. Good to know. This Tremor Cannon being very annoying over here on this side as well. A nice strategic dismantling of this front line right here from the red team. Mammoth being whittled away here as well. Every volley right now, about 8% or so off of this Mammoth's HP bar. Sort of a death by a million cuts situation. Wow. Just a horde of T1 moving forward right now. I mean, the Sheldon in the back line and plenty of the T1 on the front are going to be more than happy to tear all this down. This is a huge usage of resources for very, very minimal effect. I think this much metal and T2 forces would have had at least double this effect. Tremor mostly friendly firing here as well is always a little bit sketchy to see. Ducks have saved the day once more. Torpedo bombers also likely having a gigantic effect right here. Shutting down the majority of this and allowing these res bots to come out on the field and hopefully... Oh, no, we need to reclaim here. No reason to go for the Resurrect here. We may as well reclaim all those and turn them into T2 boats, or just seaplanes or something of the like. Whole bunch of platypus available right now. Not bad. At the very least, some static defense has been built up over here that will be in place to shut down any sort of harassment from that angle. Bombers coming across. Bombers connecting in a big way. Blue Bombers taking out all the production right here for the pink and yellow commander. And now we're headed back towards the back line. An explosive build order right here. Boom goes the APHIS as well as all the E-converters, and now suddenly a couple of bombers have made it into the back. If we pop those E-converters, this game is as good as done. There we go. E-converters go up in smoke, and just like that, the red commander is knocked out of the game as far as production-wise goes. Heavy bombers continuing to try and bomb down those fusion reactors and advanced fusion reactors. Oh, and they managed to get it. 25% HP remaining. Nuclear missile, by the way. Pouring salt on the wound right there as the nuclear missile connects down on the pink base. The red base still being bombed. Boom goes the APHIS Prime with 2% HP remaining. Now the bombers move in. Tan base in a whole bunch of trouble as the bombers loop back around for their second run here. Fusion reactor. Oh, bomber. There we go. Bomber does connect with the fusion reactor. Wow. And just like that, with some stellar bombing and a beautiful nuclear missile right to the face of an already wounded player, it'll be the blue team that manages to take the victory in this very close game of Beyond All Reason. Pretty back and forth with those duck plays, but the blue team was more aggressive out the gate, and I don't think the red team ever really managed to do much damage beyond that early hovercraft raid. What a wonderful game between these two communicated and well-coordinated teams. Definitely feels like there's something to be said for coordinating on a bigger scale. I'm always excited to see these 8v8 games that are played between teams that are working together. I think it's the future of Beyond All Reason, at least at a competitive level anyway, and I think it's going to be a blast. Sure hope you enjoyed, though, and please feel free to hit the like button and subscribe if you'd like to join the Brightverse community. You can always hit the link to take you to the Discord channel as well, and I hope to see you in the very next cast of Beyond All Reason. Peace out, everybody.